Hi everyone, today is the 33rd day of this dry pour concrete experiment. I said last time that I'm going to be measuring the last one at 28 days, but I got a little busy, so I was not able to measure it last week. So this is actually the 33rd day since I made this dry pour concrete and that wet pour concrete right there. And today we're going to find out the PSI number for this wet pour and the dry pour concrete. And again, to test this PSI, we're going to be using this rebound hammer. This is to measure the actual PSI strength of the concrete. So let's go ahead and get started with our test. Okay, so we're going to go start with our wet pour sample. And if you have not seen my previous video, what we're going to do is we'll do 10 tests and we'll take the average from that test. And then we'll compare this to the dry pour sample. Okay, test number one. This is a 26. We got a 31. And test number 10. We got a 28 on test number 10. Now let's go ahead and measure the dry pour concrete. Okay, so test number 1, we're going to start right here. We got a 20. And finally, test number 10. We got a 22. Okay, so for our dry pour sample, we got a 20 on our first test. And then we got a 21, 24, 20, 20, 21, 25, 25, 23, 22, for a total of 221. And our final result after 33 days is 3,204.5. So it's not bad for a dry pour concrete. So compare that to our wet pour. Not sure if you can see that because I cannot see this thing from the sun. If you compare that to the wet pour concrete actually got the full strength, which is 4,480, and the dry pour is about 1,200 psi lower than the wet pour. You know what I can say is that 3,200 psi is not bad at all. Actually, like I mentioned before, when I got a quote for a driveway, the contractor actually gave me a quote for 3,000 psi concrete. So for the dry pour concrete to get a final strength of 3,204 psi, that should be strong enough to support a car. But the question is, will you settle for a 3,200 psi, or would you want to get the full strength of your concrete? So it's really up to you. And again, I just want to let you know that this is a 4,500 psi concrete. So if you get the Quickcrete that only have 4,000 psi, then you'll probably get a little less than 3,000 psi after it's fully cured. So if you want to do a dry pour concrete, I would suggest go get a higher psi concrete, like the 4,000 psi concrete or maybe the 5,000 psi concrete, so that when it cures, it should be hard enough to support whatever you're trying to put on it. Okay, but I'm still not gonna put this for heavy load. It's probably good enough, but I'm not sure how long it is gonna last if you always have cars in there, especially now that we have electric vehicles that weighs about 5,000 pounds. Again, that is the dry pour concrete, and that is the wet pour concrete, and this is the result from day 7, 1,841 psi compared to 2,914 psi for the wet pour. Day 14, 2,595 psi for dry pour and already 4,000 psi for wet pour. Day 21, 2,624 psi for dry pour and already 4,200 psi for wet pour. And the final test, 3,204 psi for the dry pour and 4,480 psi for the wet pour. Okay, so I guess I'll do another test on day 60. I'm not sure if the number is still going to change. Maybe dry pour is curing a lot slower than the wet pour, because if you look here, You can see that from our second test to the last test, this is only like 400 PSI difference between this on the wet pour. For the dry pour, we have about 600 PSI difference between the second week and today's test. So let's see, maybe after day 60, let's see if this number is going to go up a little bit more, or maybe it will just stay about the same. If you want to see that video, make sure to click the subscribe button. And again, thank you for watching.